immediately after an intense conversion during college, I felt that becoming a Christian meant that I had to repudiate everything Chinese. I still live with a regret for the last years of seeing how Chinese culture might imbricate my faith, to show not only that Chinese and Christianity are compatible, but that Christianity has a lot to learn from the wisdom of Chinese culture.
You know, before the Bible was written, human being has lived for 2,500 years. Now, how do they know the revelation of God? Of course, by word of mouth. And ancient cultures like India, like Chinese, they were exposed to the oral version. The Chinese, they preserve it. The oral revelation of God in their writings, in the tradition, and also in their classics. The order as recorded in the Chinese is the same as it recorded in the Hebrew Bible. Only that the Chinese recorded about 500 to 700 years earlier. So for those who are questioning and even thinking the Bible is a Western culture, come on. It's Asian. Okay, to start with, it's Asian.
The worldwide view that Christianity started in Western culture, where do you think that came from?
Well, in the Bible, we know Jesus was crucified by Romans. And the Christianity went into 300 years Hellenization. They were kind of Romanized.
I had never originally thought that I would write about the history of Christianity because my true interest was the apex predators of the classical world, Greece and Rome and so on. But over the course of writing, particularly about the Romans, I came to feel that they were increasingly alien, increasingly frightening to me. And I began to wonder what was the process by which we changed from the civilization of Rome to the civilization that we have today. And the conclusion that I came to was that in almost every way, what makes us distinctive today reflects the influence over 2,000 years of the Christian story, of Christian theology, of the evolution of Christian doctrines.
The beauty of the soul is the harmony and obedience to the will of God. That was the true beauty of the soul. But that is the way also shows the true knowledge of God. But then it was come to Greek way of Christianity. You start to talk about the attributes of God. You start to talk about Trinity. I mean, this is so Greek.
Concepts like international law, for instance. So the concepts of human rights, all these kind of things. Ultimately, they don't go back to Greek philosophers. They don't go back to Roman imperialism. They go back to Paul.
Some of the humanists
Paul really
and atheists,
his letters, I think, are, along with the four Gospels, the most influential, the most impactful, the most revolutionary writings that have emerged from the ancient world.
I'm a picture person. Like I learned from that, but I just think that's neat that your characters tell a story.
Now, we all Chinese, we love this word bless. Chinese New Year, we see this everywhere. But what is prosperity in its original meaning to the Chinese? How do you write Fu? Now watch, it is Shen Zipang, it is God. Together at one with a mouth in a garden. So that is prosperity. Prosperity to ancient Chinese is not just material wealth and money, but it's for God and man to have a one relationship in a fruitful garden, in your fruitful family, or in your workplace.
Let's consider the ancient Chinese idea of blessing. This is the Chinese character for blessing. Now, I have heard a theory that goes, if you take apart this character, it says, Yi Ko Tian, it's one man in the garden with God. The ancient Chinese people knew about the story of Adam in the garden with God. Dear friends, that's not true, okay? If you raised an ancient Chinese person from the dead and asked him to read this word, he would stare at you blankly, because this was not how he read and wrote Chinese. This form of Chinese characters is relatively recent. It's called Kai Shu regular script. The ancient Chinese people did not write in this script. Rather, the original form of Chinese characters is Jia Gu Wen, oracle bone script. Now, dear friends, this is how the Fu character looked originally in oracle bone script. Notice, no Yi Ko Tian, for you to play with, all right? So the Chinese character Fu looks like that today because it evolved from its original form, like that. Now the next question is, why does it look like that? According to this Chinese archaeological book, it says, the oracle bone script Fu character depicts two hands holding a large wine jug before an altar, asking God to grant blessing. Right? So that was the original meaning of the Fu character. And the message was that I must perform this ritual in order to get blessing from God. That was the concept behind the ancient Chinese character Fu.
The Bible is giving a promise, is saying there will be people coming from the north, from the west, and also coming from the land of China to worship God. It's a beautiful promise. In the Chinese ourselves, we call it 中国. The word 国 means kingdom, country. 中 means no deviation from the will of heaven.
The earliest mention of Zhongguo, the Middle Kingdom, China. The word for China is composed of two characters, Zhong and Guo. The first part means center. In this early version of the first character, it's possible to see two things, a depiction of a flag and a moat. Meanwhile, the second character, Guo, meaning country, contains an element of the character Guo, weapon. So, the word for China stresses the idea of a political center and the force needed to maintain and defend it.
This is the people, this is the country that follow the mandate of heaven without any slightest deviation. That is the meaning of China.
It's about Sinicization. It can be easily misinterpreted as enculturation or indigenization and some other people's words. The concept of it is we're facilitating evangelism by adapting a religion into the indigenous culture. But Sinicization is more than that. As you said, they're putting people in jail, putting persons of faith in jail. They are banning people from going to church.
Surveillance cameras everywhere.
Exactly, and they're using them as a political tool to, promote their own political agenda.
Right.
I think it's important to remember China is an atheist regime, and the only reason that they're keeping religions around is that they wanted to use them as a political tool.